You mentioned to me you work for an architectural firm in Vermont, and you mentioned to me in your freelance work you use have applied the design thinking process. How has that helped you, you think, in what you do in that kind of work?
I feel like it gives you confidence because there's a lot of times where, you know, before you are able to develop your own process, you're, and that's what school is so good for, is that, it allows you to try things out and kind of refine what you're doing. And then once you graduate, if you have a process that you trust, then you trust your own work more and you're able to be more confident in the moves that you make and in the way that you try to solve problems. So I think that to me is the most helpful, because then that also helps you communicate those ideas to clients and to other folks that you work with. And if you have that confidence, then you're able to better defend the choices that you make, and hopefully it's you're more convincing, and you're able to have, I guess, yeah, just greater confidence in what you do.
That makes sense. Now, can you give me a concrete example of that, of how that worked in terms of one of the projects that you've worked on where that, what you just explained, came to life?
Yeah. Well, actually, just a quick question. So, for example, the at my current job where I work, we were doing some master planning of this ski area, and what we wanted to do was find some way to kind of cull out. They'd had this old ski lodge that they were trying to kind of bring back to its old former glory, but at the same time modernize. So over the course of decades, they had kind of added on to these kind of ad hoc, in the 60s and 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and you had this very jumbled building, and they wanted to kind of clear that out. And so I was, even though I was very kind of low on the totem pole at the office, I was able to kind of come forward, with an idea that, based upon, a sound logic, I was able to kind of bring that forward to my superiors that, probably weren't looking for my advice, but because my logic was sound, they kind of were able to take that and run with it, and that's being developed further. But yeah, that initial kernel was mine, which I kind of liked.
That's great. Now, in George's work, he does a lot of work for what's called the social good, design for social good. And I'm wondering how that's inspired you in terms of your outlook on life, or how it applies to business and doing good, so to speak, using design.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, especially in this day and age, lots of offices, be they architects or designers, are hamstrung by money, and so it's very easy to kind of get caught up in chasing the money, because look, everyone needs to make a living. But that being said, you can't let that be the only focus. And that's what I like about Greater Good and about George and about those people who can find a way to balance those things and try to find work for the greater good, because the folks who desperately need good design are the people who can't afford it, and those are the people that I feel need and could most benefit from good design. I mean, the folks who can afford a multi-million-dollar mansion, yes, they like design, but I don't think necessarily they necessarily need design to make their life better. Meanwhile, someone who's of low income and doesn't have all of the means in the world, to them a well-designed thing is going to be so much more valuable. And that's what I see as being the greater good, is where can design be the most powerful. And I think kind of towards that greater good is what is important.